Okay, so this video is about processing my biggest regret till date. I spent $6,600 on a course, coaching program. You can say it's not just a course because there was this aspect of live and everything. And it's for this company called Alt Agency run by Greg Hickman. And this happened back in 2020, September to be precise. September 23 is, I think, when I joined. It's possible that they take off my access from the course after this, or they'll just keep it because, I don't know. Maybe they won't see it. But at this point, I can tell you that after following him for all these years, I don't trust them. That should be apparent by just seeing this video. And I'll try to be as fair as possible. I'm not going to try to just put accusations, but I think the coaching is probably right for very, very tiny few number of people, maybe 1 in 200 of the actual people who are there. That's how much I saw it working, I would say. Obviously, nobody today is going to put out their success rates and everything. But that's the chances you're taking, right? And also, I think the program and the coaching is very low quality. I'm going to tell you why. Um, there is a lot of things wrong, just right. Like, I'm just going to go through this. I'm going to tell you what my journey was. I'm going to tell you what is specifically wrong. I'm going to help. Obviously, I'm making this to help you prevent making the wrong choice, because I think you're probably searching. That's what I'm looking for, right? Somebody's going to look for a review. Obviously, they've already flooded the internet with affiliate programs and things like that. So, you know probably nobody will discover this video, but I just have to make this, get it out, because I've been holding this for too long. It's been 4 years. I'm a dad now this year. I don't want to this to weigh me down, right? I just want to get this over with, because I think sometimes certain things need to be expressed, and just if it doesn't find expression, I think it's just gonna affect you. So this is my way of doing that. I still take responsibility for everything. I mean, that there's no way out. I mean, it's not like I'm gonna sue them or anything, because I don't think they did legally anything wrong. But I do think that I'm gonna make some personal accusations where I think they do questionable things. You can call it gray areas, whatever you call it. Yeah. Anyway, and it's the digital world today. People can change many things. All right, let's go into it. All right. So how did I get in? My journey was I was at a place where I had just gotten a job which paid me good money. I think I was making $5,000 a month at that time. It was the first time I had a salary like that, so it was a big deal back then. And then I was following Chris Do, who I think is genuine even today. His pro group costs like $150 a month. I think he doesn't mince words. He definitely gives away a lot, like a lot of real value. And through his webinar, he had interviewed Greg Hickman, and I fell for his marketing. That's how I like to phrase it, because Greg Hickman is just, this program is like, the packaging and the marketing is so good, so good, so good. You want it to be true, right? That's how I would describe it. You want it to be true. You want it to be this magical land of like productivized services where you can just be like, oh, it's just gonna scale infinitely, and I'm gonna do great, right? There's one point I remember giving examples of not his students. I'm doing this live, right? There's not a lot of preparation. I've done some bullet points so that at least there is some coherence in this video, but generally I'm just gonna freestyle this, right? There's this webinar, right? So that's his funnel, and the webinar was so good. Even today's standards, I think, oh my god, like I was like, this is it. This is what I've been missing. Fuck. He gets so specific in that webinar. That's how you know copywriting and marketing material works. The only problem is the program doesn't live up to the marketing. But that webinar was so good. I hope you haven't already pulled the trigger, because that webinar makes you feel like, oh man, like this is this world of just like, whatever he promises, right? Like he hits the nail on all your problems and pain points that you have been going on as an agency owner, or somebody who has been a freelancer or whatever. Like, you've done a lot of clients and you're trying to make it big in this world of marketing services, whatever it is that you do, right? Probably websites, funnels, lead magnets, email marketing. And then he proposes this productivized service, this magical land where you turn your services into products, and it just scales beautifully. And I think that's where they definitely oversell it. I have to go back to the script and um, check it. I'm not going to spend all that time on it. Honestly, this is the only video, and I'm just going to get away from this, right? Anyway, okay. So, and then, so that I basically fell for that webinar. I hate myself for it that I did. But it's a damn good webinar, right? And then I went through a sales guy, and the sales guy was pretty good. Like, I remember just uh it was like, I hate this part as well because I think he definitely used my vulnerability at that time against me. So I want to describe a little bit about myself and how I approach coaching programs. In my life, I have not been very close to my father. He's still there. He's still with my dad, but I don't think I was very close. He spent most of his time just not connecting with his family and just in his own place. I think as a result of that, I've always looked up to male role models a lot. And a lot of times I would just submit to them, right? And through this submission process, I have learned a lot in my life. And why? Because I become an excellent coaching subject. And you can ask my anybody before. I've had many coaches before. I think that has worked for me a lot in my life, where I just completely submit. I don't come in with my own beliefs and prejudices and be like, no, 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 this doesn't work, this is not true, that's no. I just go and be like, whatever their frame of mind is, I'd be like, okay, I'll submit to this completely. I like to think this is what great actors do when they play great roles. I'm not sure, I'm not an actor, but I think that's how they prepare, right? They just take that form. So I'm like, I try to do that. I try to go in like Bruce Lee says, be like water, be formless. So the moment I decided that, okay, this guy is it, and I'll also tell you why Greg Hickman was a completely different person on the webinar and later, right? On the webinar, he comes across as very matured. He's a lot more calmer. He's got an energy that seems very genuine, whereas later on the calls and everything, he was just not the same person. And these are all things that I feel like it's very hard to make it tangible, make it concrete. So, but this is just how I feel, and I need to express this. And this guy was good. This guy, his name is Mike Mastando. um, I don't know if he still works with them, but he definitely made it feel like he would take every objection, and he definitely made it feel like it's just gonna work. He gave me the impression, this is for real, guys. Like, he gave me the impression that the program definitely works. Like, and that's my regret here, because the program doesn't work for a lot of people. I can tell you that because I was there in the group, and I could see the number of people whose program ended with no results. Like, it was just like a massive number. I'd like to think it's like 1 in 200, 300, 400, whatever. Is the only number of people who got results, and everybody else was just like disappointed and just going away. And this guy gave the impression that the program definitely works. And he was like, you just have to spend 1 hour a day. If you do it consistently, it's going to work. And, even if it doesn't work in the first time, it just works in the second time. And, yeah, like, I feel I made mistakes. I should have asked about the process. I should have, I should have just been like asked and profiled and gone into the mode of like, I'm gonna do my more due diligence. But of course, it's very hindsighty. In hindsight, you can always say, I should have done that, I should have done this, and this is what regret is. I don't know the things that I know now, so how could I have acted back then, right? So at that time, that's just what I guess this whole experience was not useless after all. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be more vigilant in the future. So I joined the course. I remember one Bonjoro, like, there's a personal video that my, Greg Hickman sends you. I still have that, I think it's called. I'll try to edit it into this. It's called My Personal Invitation or something like that. Appointment, welcome, foundations. Here's a personal video I recorded for you, right? That's Greg Hickman's video. It's pretty planned, actually. I'm sure, that's one of the biggest gripes I have with this program. I spent $6,600. Now, I know of people who are excellent at their work, at least from the content they create, and the amount of free content that has changed my life, right? Like that's how I think somebody's excellent. They have put out free content out there that has been excellent in turning my life around. And then I spend some money on digital products. I'd probably buy a book or a course or whatever. But I wish I hadn't been affected by this experience, that I would have invested this money somewhere else. And these people used to give money back guarantees, which Greg Hickman doesn't, if I didn't already tell that in this video. And that is also something that I realized later. I think I pulled the trigger too fast. That's my mistake. And I wanted it to be true so bad that, I kind of lost sight of it, of just being like what was happening right in front of me. I was just like really like, okay, this is true. This has to work. This is the big thing that's going to get me out of the pains that he talks about for agency owners or freelancers and everything. I was already like, at that time I was like a few years in. I was in a plateau of the kind of clients I was attracting. I kind of wanted to upgrade the kind of projects that I wanted and everything. Okay, so that was the thing. So now go into it. I just want to say before I'm going to describe the whole vibe in there, right? So every live call is going to be like, people will be like, uh, discuss the wins, right? And then everybody, not everybody, it's usually the same people, I think, tell their wins. And there'll be some people who will tell you wins, but they're not wins. But Greg likes to take a screenshot and add it to a big page. Like I think they still have it. And I remember the page disorients you from seeing. It's very tricky. It's just what I like to call, uh, it's the same thing as what Coca-Cola does with selling their sugared water, right? Like they show you something completely unrelated, and they associate it. So that's kind of what happens. It's a very gray area again, so it's hard to make things, but definitely make things seem like what they are not, right? So he would take screenshots of minor things, like for somebody who just be like, I just created my signature service. That's what they call it. And that would be a win. And maybe they'll use words that make you feel good. They'll be like, oh, so excited, so pumped, and everything. He'll take a screenshot and he'll throw it out there. And there'll be somebody who would just be like, I remember somebody who was an agency owner, and this person was big already, right? Like they had a massive team and everything. Whereas I was a solopreneur. Like I was just I used to work. I mean, like the biggest project I've attracted was $8,000, and that happened once. Otherwise, my I think range of website redesigns was like $2,000, $3,000 maximum. So that's the range I came in. But these people were already at a certain level, and they had amazing portfolio and audience, probably a network of existing clients and word of mouth and everything. So there are very different kind of people who are coming in. And she would just be like, she went through this and she looked at the signature service and she was like, okay, oh, you know what, I'm just going to package my existing thing like this. And then they would say, oh, that closed so fast, and this much money came in. And then Greg would make it seem like it's because of the signature service they made all that money. I mean, like he wouldn't say that explicitly, but taking that screenshot and putting it out and saying that would probably say something like $33,000. And I think obviously there's also this other side, which is definitely people who pay a lot of money for something want it to succeed, because it's much harder to face the fact that you made a bad investment, because that reflects on you. uh, I would like to say probably that's why it took me so long to make this video, because I was probably in denial. I thought, I blamed myself because I thought, the program definitely works, blah blah blah. There's this definitely whole thing. There's definitely an emotional component to spending a lot of money on something, because ultimately it's not even about the money. It's about the the, the size of the decision you make. And I need to slow down a bit. Size of the decision you make, and how it makes you feel, right, about you having made that decision, and how much you can trust yourself in the future, I think. So because of that, a lot of things happen. So, and I remember there were other people in the group who would complain, and they would just disappear in the next call. And probably they came in, they paid part payment, and they went away. This is another thing I regret. I paid all the money in spite of having not having to pay it. Like, I paid $2,200 a month, and I paid all my invoices. Again, I take responsibility for this, but at that time, what happened was, I'm not blaming him, but what really happened in my head was that some people would complain, like, they would be like, this is nonsense. I think for them it was like what I wanted to say much later, or today I'm saying, they said it much earlier. They said, like, this is bullshit. Like, you just saying that you just have to break things into like 9 steps and just put it into 3 3 3 and just like present it, and this is gonna work. Like, I think they saw that this is just packaging, and that this is not going to solve all the problems. I'm sure it has a place somewhere to simplify how your messaging is. It's definitely solid, but then I think they don't do their qualifications enough, right? Maybe today they do it, hopefully, but if nobody has made a video like me, and if everybody was just like, okay, you know what, I'm just gonna go away, not talk about this, I don't think they're gonna change anything. Um, so yeah, so there's definitely things like their thing was bad, like, and the way I would be able to interact is two ways, because they were all about scalability. So don't do one-on-ones ever. It's either group coaching, or you do a 5 minute, they allow you to record 5 minute video clips using looms, and then they would make one and send it back, right? There's definitely a wait time to this, but then considering the amount of money I paid, I still feel like, what the fuck? Like, I should have at least asked about that, right? I think I assumed that for something that's this much money, that there would be one-on-one coaching. And I pulled the trigger too fast. And it was after I paid the first amount, I felt like I don't want to back out now, because I knew that there was no money back. So let's just stick with it, right? Let's just go the whole way. Maybe it's just I'm getting cold feet. Maybe it's making me nervous, whatever. But anyway, so I went through it, and just anyway, long story short, um, what they teach, the method of coaching, doesn't work for a lot of people. Majority, huge majority of people. It probably works for some of them, and they definitely turn them into testimonials, and that's part of why I bought this as well. I remember I come from a developer background. I worked for more than a decade as a developer, and apps and everything. I remember a particular testimonial of somebody who did apps, and they were able to turn it around, and the testimonial wouldn't talk about what they did, but it was like, wow, this is great, blah blah blah. And yeah, so that those are all the kind of things that I hope to see. Those are all the kind of things I was like, okay, you know what, I want to see how can you take an app which is a developer thing and turn it into a productivized service. I was so curious, right? And but their idea is basically just make it into video courses as much as possible, have areas where get them to do as much of the work on their own, record things, have minimal processes where you can check, don't provide them too many options, don't make it personalized. Like, for example, if you're making a website, you just give them 3 templates, right? And then make them choose, right? Things like that. So this, and you need to be very clear on who you're going for, obviously. And on top of that, there's this thing where um, there's definitely this aspect of um, how do I put this? If this works, it's us, right? Oh wow, the system works, guys. Like, you just have to put in the work. This is awesome, and I'm so psyched for you guys. And he would say some things like, oh, you did the work, blah blah blah, but the method works. Like, obviously he wants to make it all about the method, and this is why I'm telling you this works, guys, blah blah blah, and all of that. And then if it doesn't work, just shut up, right? Like, either they would, I remember people would just drop off, or it was people like me who was just like not having enough confidence to see it, or just like, okay, you know what, the mistake is with me, because obviously that's what Greg says all the time. The only response he would say is, you just need more reps. You gotta do the work, right? Like, I mean, like, today I would consider myself as a pretty slightly right leaning person. um and this is a little bit of a joke, right? It's a little bit like, what is a woman, right? If you are into that belief or whatever, right? And you can't answer something with the same term, right? You can't define something with the same term. Like, I bet you that nobody would be able to define what the work is, right? What is the work? What is the right number of reps? For some people, you need, just for comedic effect, I think Greg would say something. For some people, it will happen in 6 hours. Some people, it will take 6 days. Some people, it take 6 weeks. Some people, 6 months. Maybe some people, 6 years. Some people, 6 lifetimes. But guys, you just gotta put in the rep. That's that's kind of what the message is. And this happens, right? Like if it works, it's us, and the method works, and we will flaunt it out. If it doesn't work, it's you. And if you already go in with even the slightest amount of, like, maybe you're not confident about yourself, you don't know who you are in the professional area, you look up to somebody, they would take advantage of this, right? This is just what he preaches, and this sort of shuts you down, because anything else you go back is already answered, which is, oh, well, this is not working. I tried this. You just need more reps. Right? That's it. That came in the first week of the call. So I was like, every time they would ask me something, I didn't know what to answer, because the answer was right there. I just need more reps. And I kept putting in the reps. I would modify my LinkedIn profile. I'd go and post what they said. It's not like I never had, experience. I had experience. I had clients. I was able to build personas from my real world thing, but it just didn't work. And but the answer is straight, like, guys, you just have to put in the work. You're lazy, and even if you feel a little bit like no matter what you do is not enough, like, I think a lot of creatives go through that, where you feel like you're not enough, and that can really influence this. And when somebody comes and tells you that you are not enough, what you're doing is not enough, it can just shut you down. And that's how I felt most of the program. I just felt like, oh no, what, like, I just have to shut up. If it doesn't work, it's my fault, and I just have to repeat it, right? Just however what they say, just do more of it, just do more of your, whatever they say. Like, they give you little scripts that all sound the same. Even today, I think she uses the same thing. So just keep doing more, guys, just keep doing more. Just that's just how I felt. And the other thing is also that, another thing that bothered me is, I like to do good work. When I say good work, I like to do work that people pay for and feel like, you know what, I'd like to continue working with me. Repeat business, right? That's, I think, I hope I'm not alone here. I'm not just here to, like, just make money and fuck off. And I like what I do, right? There are phases where I'm like tired of doing the same things, but ultimately I like marketing. Today I found a different path. It's called a fractional CMO, where it's a lot better model, right? It's not just packaging something, selling it, and then going away. Fractional CMO takes a lot more investment into the client's company, and you build a team there. And it's not like an agency model. I think agency. I agree with Greg Hickman's messaging. Agency model is broken, but productivized service is not the end all be all to everything, and especially not at their prices. I believe the things that they teach gives a massive buyer's remorse, right? Like, I challenge, even, let Greg Hickman make their numbers open. Like, let's see how many people joined the course, how many people actually got results. Like, I think if they ever made it public, it's going to be a massive, massive, just oof. Nobody's gonna buy it, right? Because I think they create certain expectations with all these messaging, and how the way they do the webinar, and the way he preaches, right? He's a very preachy guy as well. Like, he's like a messiah. That's definitely a messiah thing. Sorry to get personal here, Greg. I've never met you except on the calls, but and I think there's one thing I'm gonna point out and say, he's a liar. Like, okay, I definitely remember him calling himself a seven-figure entrepreneur when I joined the course, right? And I don't remember exactly which video, but he definitely did that. And then he said, "Oh, we have done seven-figure business, blah blah blah. I used to make things in agency." Like, his claim was that he did very successful projects as an agency owner, and he made seven-figure revenues and everything for big people. Like, he still puts who all he made things for. But I definitely remember, after a few, maybe a year or two, I don't remember. It was after I joined. One day he just like, "Oh, I just crossed seven figures, like, in my life for the first time." I'm like, okay, Then I was like, okay, you're lying. Like you've never made $1 million before that. Then this like teaching, like using this method is how he actually made his first $1 million. And that's just anyway. This is like a soft claim I like to make. I'm not gonna go back and find out which video it is, because if he made a video now he can be like, he can, it's 2024 now. He can just go back to his old one, like, oh, I'm a millionaire, I just crossed my first million. It all serves as a social proof, right? Like you look at him and you're like, oh, this is a successful person who knows what they're doing, so I want to go here. Oof, very ranty video, I know, but anyway, I don't expect anybody to listen so much, so I'm just going to go through all my things. Christo webinar, tailored marketing, his webinar is pretty good. Sales guy. Why I do this? I also do this because there's no lack of negative reviews. They definitely flooded the market with affiliates. They came to me as well and be like, you know what, I'm gonna give you a hefty commission if you just promote my course. It has a little bit of a Andrew Tate vibe to this. Um, I think I like Andrew Tate more than this guy. Anyway, um, I just didn't say that. Probably a lot of you are thinking I'm just a crazy guy. Anyway, who cares? Affiliates, my biggest regret. Flaw in this approach: if it works, it's us. If it doesn't work, okay. Do the work is such a very convenient thing. You just need more reps is a very convenient statement to just slap everything on, where he can't define what is the work. He can't define how many reps do you think. That's where I think he lacks the mastery. He lacks the real expertise. He's not a real coach. He's not taken the time to go through a lot of people to understand and even say, you know what, I can now spot patterns of what works, who it works for, and I'm gonna do it in a way where I don't have too much. I basically want people to be successful. I don't think he does that. He has some people who are successful and he has made video testimonials out of them, um, but the rest, no. Um, and I want you to not have the bias of thinking that if you pay high, you get high quality advice and network with high quality people. There's definitely people who made more money than in other coaching programs, that's for sure. Or they also came in like me. I feel like there are people who were just selling products at the same level and they thought, you know what, for me to upgrade my life, I just have to spend this much money on a coaching program. Thereby, I get high quality advice and I can, jump to the next level. So that doesn't happen. I'm just gonna take this bit and put it in the front of the video, I think. Anyway, the experience was so disappointing. Hit me much later. There's definitely toxic positivity where you just discuss the wins. Nobody talks about their struggles. Absolutely nobody, because the only answer they had was you just need more reps and work. Like they're not real coaches or they don't even know how to do one-on-one work. Um, Anyway, the only thing that came out of this is that this experience inspired me to just evaluate how many people might have lost money like this, having feeling like idiots. And I feel like this whole online high ticket, high pressure sales coaching um, programs, there's a lot of them. I think in many thousands and everything. People do it in different formats and ways. There is a lack of review and marketplace, right? There's just lack of it. Even if they want reviews, they can always use affiliate marketing, because affiliate marketing is just the worst thing to have happened. Just have to deal with it because it just works. It's a way, and nobody has found a way in the future. But then, just like how in the past there was no Google reviews, there was no Yelp reviews, and people didn't have to bother about selling, doing anything quality. And it was just a state of economy at that time. And later things came and it changed things better for consumers. So similarly, I feel someday somebody's going to invent something, or I really want to, but I just don't know if it's going to be a good business model. Who's going to pay for it? um, by the very least, max, I think it's going to be just people who are just disgruntled like me, like somebody who did a purchase and they're just like, they don't have anywhere to go complain. They probably will come and complain. But I would just like to create a balanced place where something like a marketplace like Udemy, right, where you have courses, that people will always try to game the system, I think, but something to counter it, right? That's what this whole experience inspired me to do. So that's I wish I could create something like that, where everybody, every one of these people, like Greg Hickman, is shown their true colors. Maybe I'm wrong. When I say this, I'm saying like I still don't know if I'm right or wrong, right? I don't know because I don't know the numbers. My experience, although I can tell you that for granted, was that I saw it worked for a lot less people than what I thought it worked for, or at least what impression the sales guy created when he sold me the program, right? Like he made it sound like it works for a lot of people, like, like, yeah, it works. It mostly works, like 90 something percent, right? Like it was crazy. And it's going to give you results very fast and all of that. He definitely did that. Anyway, and definitely Greg could jump in and be like, oh no, what, it was a sales guy's thing, like, but it's just, I think it's still his responsibility. And it was my responsibility to have came in with this and bought it. I wish, and I'm gonna just go back and what there's more mistakes I made. I didn't speak up. I just fell into this frame of like, okay, every question that came up my head, the answer was either do the work or you just need more reps. And because the work or the reps are not clearly defined, if you even feel like you're not doing enough in your life, you can easily go into this cycle of self blame and just blame yourself and just shut up. Just don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm not going to do that. Hence the video. And I've noted one more point. Like, you can see that he's bullshitting because after all these things, right? Like, he's had so many students. And he made a video of productivized services examples. And I don't think he had even a single. I didn't go through the entire video, but I sat through a lot of it and it was painful. I don't think he found even a single example of his own students, right? Out of the 25 productivized service examples, right? Like, and he has had, my batch alone had 200 plus. I remember that old portal. Now they've changed portals multiple times because this model works, right? All you have to do is set the trap, get the person and get the money, and then keep chugging them out and call this a business. I'm sorry, this is not a business when you don't have transparency. um, Even if it works for like a really tiny percent of people, if you don't really put it out there and if it's not transparent, you know that you're lying in some way. So yeah, that's just my take on businesses, and I wouldn't be proud of building a business like that. Like, I would like to have customers who come back. I would like to have referrals. I would like to have people who are just happy to have bought my products, right? That's what I would like. Anyway, that's the end of my video. uh I'm not. I'm glad I did this. I'm just glad I did this because this has been weighing down on me. I'm sure I did an emotional vomit, but this is just what happened. And I hope someday I get to create a review site so that this whole world of high price coaching doesn't continue to be a lawless wild west where people can just do whatever and say whatever claims they want and it's all just marketing. There's nothing to verify. That needs to change. That needs to change, people. um I don't know what the thing is. Like, anyway, I hope this video helped you. If it did, leave a comment, get in touch with me. um yeah, I would just like to know if you had this same experience. Maybe you are somebody who went through the same thing and you're like, you still blame yourself, like, and maybe this video gave you the thing to be like, okay, you know what, this was the reality. Shit, I was just thinking it was my fault. It was not, because what they say is not properly defined, right? Anyway, see you. Bye bye.